Hi, in the mundane routine of browsing YouTube, where the videos failed to spark any interest, a chance encounter with a clip discussing the dark internet ignited curiosity within me. The hidden world of the deep web was something I'd vaguely heard of from Dimitri, the neighborhood's computer prodigy. Intrigued, I delved into the video, unveiling the secrets that constituted a significant portion of the internet. Excitedly, I rushed to Dimitri the next day, eager to share my newfound knowledge. To my surprise, he was already well versed in the mysteries of the deep web. As we rewatched the clip together, Dimitri proposed a daring idea, hiring a hitman for an adventure. My adventurous spirit and limited foresight led me to agree. Dimitri, the enigmatic guide into this clandestine realm, began teaching me the intricacies of accessing the deep web. The 15 days of intense learning transformed me into a confident and skilled navigator of this hidden network. With newfound expertise, Dimitri unveiled his audacious plan, hiring a hitman with himself as the target. This was an experiment, a dangerous adventure to test the boundaries of the deep web. Contacting a hitman marked the point of no return. The objective: kidnapping Dimitri. With the mission set in motion, the hired killer initiated a meticulous inquiry. He demanded detailed information about Dimitri, the target, to ensure a successful kidnapping. The questions delved into the specifics of Dimitri's life, residence, and personal attributes, transforming the venture into a perilous game of disclosure. The hired killer's inquiries reached into the intimate details of Dimitri's life. From the layout of his residence to his daily routines, the hired killer sought information about Dimitri's physical characteristics. Height, build, distinctive features. Every detail mattered. The objective was not only to secure the target, but to ensure a seamless operation. Beyond the physical, the hired killer probed into Dimitri's lifestyle. Habits, hobbies, social circles. Every aspect of Dimitri's existence was under scrutiny. The goal was not just to abduct him physically, but to understand the intricacies of his life. Secrecy came at a cost, and we pooled our resources to pay the hired killer. The task was set for a week. After concluding the agreement with the hitman, we asked some activists formerly affiliated with the dark web about their opinion on this experience. Their answers were shocking and terrifying, as most of the answers warned us, and even the answers of those who laughed at us made us feel terrified in their content. The days following the hiring of the hitman became an unsettling routine for Dimitri and me. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, we noticed an unfamiliar figure lurking near Dimitri's house. Average in height, with a sharp face and an aura of anonymity, as the hitman settled into his routine, Dimitri's once vibrant life took a turn for the worse. Each day, he'd cautiously peer through the blinds, scanning the surroundings for any sign of the lurking figure. The once lively home now carried an air of paranoia, with every creak and rustle amplifying our anxiety. Dimitri, now a prisoner in his own home, grappled with the constant fear of being kidnapped. Recognizing Dimitri's escalating distress, I decided to settle down at his house. Together, we faced the shared desperation of being watched. 6 days later, a message arrived from the hired killer, claiming the target had not presented an opportunity for kidnapping, and the scheduled duration of the task will be longer. Fear and paranoia reached a breaking point. We decided to call off the mission. Finally, a collective sigh of relief echoed as the hired killer agreed to cancel the mission. The decision to retreat was made. Despite the cancellation of the mission, Dimitri's psyche bore the scars of constant vigilance, leading him to seek professional help for the panic attacks that plagued him. The once curious adventure into the deep web had left an indelible mark on our lives, serving as a stark reminder of the perils that lurk within the hidden corners of the internet. The aftermath left scars, both physical and psychological. Dimitri, plagued by panic attacks, sought solace in the guidance of a psychiatrist. Our brush with the dark web's underbelly left us shaken, and as we shared our ordeal with others interested in the deep web, the consensus was unanimous. We had ventured into the dark, and the outcome could have been far worse, including physical harm or even death. It was a cautionary tale, a testament to the perils that lurk in the depths of the web's hidden realms. Hello, my name is Henry, and since I study in the field of informatics, I was interested in hacking the codes of television channel systems. I was involved in one of the groups on Facebook, and this group was interested in everything that was going on in the deep web. Activists were obtaining some articles, research, clips, and they published them in the group. I know that this is against the laws of Facebook, but there was no other option to share the posts with those interested in various fields. I was interested in encryption systems and how to crack them, and I did not pay any attention to other things, especially related to crime. The information published within the group is valuable information. It was really effective, but it was in limited quantity. I started thinking about entering the deep web myself to gain greater knowledge. Instead of waiting in the Facebook group, I contacted one of the group's administrators. I explained the matter to him, and he welcomed my help. When I entered the deep web, I was surprised by the big difference between it and the regular internet. I found several sections, each section dedicated to a specific field. But the crime sections caught my attention. There is a section that deals with hired killers, a section that deals with human trafficking, and a section that deals with kidnapping and torturing people in unbelievable ways. I decided to learn more about this section. I entered and found a list that gave choices. These choices revolved around the gender of the victim, male or female, and also around his race, Asian, African, Arab, or European, as well as his age. I was shocked to find a section dedicated to infants. I could not believe what I saw. But if you want this service, of course I have to pay money. And here in the deep web, the recognized currency is a digital currency that is mostly Bitcoin, but I found leaked clips from this section. I have benefited a lot in the field of encryption, and on some occasions when I was curious, I would watch some clips of torture and kill. One night, I went to the deep web as usual and found recently leaked terrifying torture clips. I watched the first clip, which was about a young girl torturing a dog. She cut off its front legs and one back leg with an electric saw. She was doing this to the tunes of a loud song, and she seems to be enjoying it very much. Oh, it's really terrifying. I found another clip of a gang that appears to be from Latin America. They were speaking in Spanish, and they were holding a dead man in his 40s, but they were competing to see who could pull out his heart with his hand through his back. I don't know why I watched this, but what I remember is that I found myself stuck, watching many of these crazy, terrifying clips. Clip after clip. I couldn't stop myself from watching. I don't know what happened to me, but I was no longer as affected as I was when I watched the first clips. After about 2 hours, I turned off the computer and got up to get ready for bed. I turned off the room light and put my head on the pillow. I closed my eyes and began to remember all the clips I had seen. I became hysterical. I could not sleep with my constant recollection of the events of the terrifying clips. Some doubts began to creep into my soul, doubts about whether I was safe from something like what I saw, or whether I was also vulnerable to kidnapping and torture. I didn't sleep during that time. Tonight, I remained awake and alert, waiting for someone to enter and try to kill me. I don't know how I can describe my condition that night, but I was hysterical with terrifying imaginations. At 6 in the morning, I got up to go to work. But that morning was different. It was full of terror and anticipation. I was afraid of an unknown person who I did not know what he looked like or anything about him. When I saw people at work or in the street, I saw them as flesh, vital organs, and blood. My colleagues at work noticed my changing behavior. I acted with extreme caution in the days that followed that night, and I became very silent, to the point that I replaced the lock on my apartment door with a more powerful one, and installed another lock for the door to my room. I also installed solid iron windows for all the windows in the apartment. I no longer eat food that I did not prepare myself for fear that someone might put something in the food that would cause me to lose consciousness. I asked to leave from work as I told my boss that I was going through a bad period. I cut off contact with my friends and family. These scenarios came to me in the morning and at night. I wished I would die from even imagining them. I became depressed to the point where I started thinking about giving up everything, because I used to say, if my fate was to be brutally tortured to death, why would I fight to live? I wouldn't lie if I told you that I thought about suicide. 2 weeks later, I was surprised by someone knocking on my apartment door. It was my brother Noah. He came to visit me after my coworker called him and told him that I was not feeling well. My brother was shocked by what he saw in my apartment. He found it in an unwell condition. The smell of spoiled food spread. After a long conversation with me, I told him what happened to me. He was able to convince me to visit his friend. His friend was a psychiatrist, I agreed, and after about 8 months have passed, I am telling you my story. Hello, while I was at work, I received a sudden call from my older brother. He seemed terrified and spoke quickly. I understood from him that his child James had been kidnapped. I asked for permission to leave from my boss and quickly left. I joined my brother and his wife Sarah at their house. I found them in a miserable state. His wife was crying hard and saying it was her fault. I tried to console them and find out what happened. I understood that while Sarah and her child were in the public park having a picnic, where there were some games for young children, he was quickly kidnapped by an unknown man. Sarah was talking with one of her friends, and little James was playing with some children. Suddenly, she heard the children screaming, and here it turned out that a man had grabbed James and ran quickly towards a black car with its windows obscured. Sarah tried to catch the car, shouting for help, but the car left, speeding away. Some people gathered around Sarah, trying to understand what had happened. The police were called immediately. The investigators quickly took the statements of some witnesses and Sarah's statements and tried to determine the identity of the car. They issued a call to all officials to stop any suspicious car. My brother had previously purchased a children's bracelet for James. This bracelet includes a GPS card to track the children in case they disappear, as it is linked to a tracking application installed on my brother's phone. As soon as we remembered the bracelet, we went to the police station. The specialists in tracking systems quickly intervened and discovered the path the car had taken. The police followed the path that led us to an isolated house outside the city walls. A house that seemed abandoned, but the card stored in James's bracelet pointed to this exact house. The police raided the house with great caution while they ordered us to stay in the car in anticipation of anything unexpected. When the police entered the house, they found signs indicating the presence of people. 2 men did not expect the police to appear. They surprised them and arrested them. After that, they began searching the place, and the shock was visible on everyone's faces when they found 9 children, including James, inside the dark basement of the house. After the police took the children out, we found James in good condition. The moment of meeting between him and his parents was indescribable. We returned to the house, where we found some family members who had come to support and check on my brother James and Sarah. The next day, we went to the police headquarters to complete the investigation and case procedures, and then we were shocked after the investigators told us what they found and the result of their investigation. After a long interrogation of 2 men, it turned out that they were members of an organization that carries out its activities inside what is known as the deep web. The 2 men were kidnapping children, but according to the customer's choices. In the deep web, there is the Red Room, which is a room dedicated to those who love torture and murder. Customers pay significant sums to satisfy their desire to witness direct torture. The victim is of their choice, and in the Red Room, there are different sections. The 2 men reported that they work in the section designated for kidnapping and torturing children. Indeed, James escaped from danger. The investigators found a private room equipped with cameras and live transmission devices to transmit the torture process. They also found torture tools and found pre-recorded clips of children who had died. These clips were filmed by the 2 men, and they were the main culprits. After a careful search, the police found the remains of the children's bodies buried next to the house. It turned out that the 2 men had been doing their work for nearly a year and were working professionally, as the police were unable to find any leads despite the numerous reports about previously kidnapped children. After revealing the identity of the dead children, it became clear that they were from different states, and this was a deliberate act by the criminals, as they kidnapped children from different states so that their matter would not be revealed. As for James, he was the first child to be kidnapped by the 2 men from the same state, and fortunately, they didn't pay attention to the bracelet in his hand. After this, the police tried to uncover other organizations practicing their activities in the deep web, such as trafficking in human organs or drugs, but they found it difficult because the deep web is a complex system, and it is difficult to discover the identity of those involved in its network. As for the two men, the court ordered that they be presented to psychiatrists who confirmed that in turn, these two criminals are psychologically and mentally ill. They have been sentenced to death, and this is what they deserve.